Welcome everyone. So grateful to have you here again. It's been a while since I posted, and I actually want to talk about that a little bit today because the reason is I only work with something when I'm inspired to do it, and I'm inspired depending on what I prioritize, as probably we all do. And my highest priority in my life is my spiritual connection. And so that frequently messes a bit with my schedule, and that's okay because it's my highest priority. And today I want to do something strange and invite you to a life example. I think that it is something that connects to the core of who we are as humans. So I hope that me sharing that can help create some connection. So I was out for a run one of those days, and I had come about halfway when I realized I wasn't really interested in running anymore because there were deer out on the meadow, and I just felt like standing and watching those deer. And it was a mother with her little children, and I stood there and watched the deer, and they watched me, and I watched them. And after a while, a minute or two, the mother started to walk away, and then they started running away, and soon they were gone. And as I watched this, I was observing my own emotions because that day, all of that day, I had already been processing a lot around wanting to have more intimate connection with everything. And I think it's just a natural result because I had a lot of Kundalini stirrings that week. And I just felt this urge to be connected to all of life again. And so when those deer ran away, I felt this pang of pain, this deep, deep hurt of separation. And it brought up a memory, and it will sound really sweet, but it really goes deep for me. I was a young child, and I always wanted a dog. It was my highest wish, and I asked and asked and asked for my parents to get me a dog. And of course, that was just not possible because I had a big brother, who was deadly allergic to a number of things. And even if it would have been okay with an animal, it was better to be safe than sorry. So I had this deep desire that just couldn't be fulfilled. And then I let it go, and then eventually a friend of mine who had a rabbit had a litter, if you call it that, of little bunny rabbits. And so I got a bunny rabbit. And then because that one was alone, I got another one. So I had two bunny rabbits, and that was my joy. It was the joy of my life, and I did everything to try to make them happy. I wanted them to live a peaceful, happy, joyful life with a lot of love. And I did everything for them, but as the months and years went on, I started to recognize a growing sorrow within myself because I had this image in my mind, this fantasy that with animals, you don't have to have these barriers that you have with humans. You can simply set aside this fixation of form and judgment and just connect directly, like feeling each other, connecting telepathically. That was what I had secretly been hoping for, and I spent so much time with those rabbits, and they just kept being rabbits and afraid sometimes and not really connecting to me in that way. And I was just deeply, deeply sad about this, and I thought there was something wrong with me, that I couldn't fulfill this desire that I had of deep connection. And of course, if you're inclined to psychology, which I also am, you can draw all kinds of conclusions from this. And trust me, been there, done that. And this goes deep. It goes even deeper. So I was still standing there by the meadow looking to where the deer had passed. And I felt this feeling memory coming up. So as I work with emotions, I know that the best way to process an emotion, if you want to use it as a portal for awakening, then go deeply into it. Feel it fully. Let the emotion consume you, because that way you get intimate with the emotion. You create, there is a portal in that intimacy which creates a whole new relationship with the emotion and with what is behind the emotion, and it allows you to let it go eventually if you're ready. And so I went deeper into that emotion of separation, of feeling separated from these animals that were running away. And I had another feeling memory coming up. And when we have a memory that is not connected to any visuals, any thoughts, anything like that, it can often be because it's too early. It happened too early in our life for us to be able to remember it. Because it was before we had the cognitive capacity to think about it or to create stories around it. We simply just felt it. And I had that feeling memory coming up. And I realized that this was about when I was just born, because my big brother had had so many really severe allergies and nearly died many times. As soon as I was born, almost, I was put in an incubator for the sake of safety. And of course, incubators are an amazing invention for saving lives, and I think we shouldn't underestimate that when we are newborn, we don't yet have a sense of identity that is separate from our mother. So when we're separated by force from our mother, or as we feel it is by force, we lose ourselves, we lose connection, we lose the love that we feel defines us, really. And it's the most intense feeling of separation, I believe, that a human being can experience. And I realized there, standing by the meadow, that this is probably the wound that was deep enough that took me on this very intense life journey of being so determined to want to experience in a union, you know, that divine love that I have experienced to at some points, but I want to have it as a constant. I want to not have it taken away from me again. Um, and so I've been on this long journey to try to cultivate or allow it in myself so that I can feel a sense of security, of safety, that it won't go away from me again, because I'm living all this life in this illusion of separation that if I'm not, I don't know, if I can't connect to other beings in that incredibly deep way, then that divine love might be taken away from me. And I know from my own experience, and I know from the mystics, that this is simply not true, that this love never goes away. It's eternal, because we're eternal. We are that love, we are that soul. But when you have an experience and then it goes away again, it only ever gets more painful, because you experience that it could be taken away. Even if it was by your illusion, it was taken away. So I went really, really deeply into that wound, and what I realized was that this sensation for me, and by now I was sobbing on the ground, like it's November, it's cold up here in Sweden, and it was raining, well, a little bit, and wet on the ground, but I didn't care, because this was important. I was realizing that this feeling of separation, when I go really, really deeply into it and feel into what that is, it feels the same as death. Because when we die, or when someone we love die, we're not afraid of the body dying. That's not what it is. We're afraid of losing that love, that connection, that separation is what we're afraid of. And when we allow ourselves to fully and deeply own that this is a part of our life that has always been with us since we were born, because it comes with life. Life has the polarity of death. Life is not complete without death. If we can fully and completely accept that, then we can accept life. Then life becomes so much more precious without the constant fear of separation. I mean, separation will always be there. Every moment we're recreated, every moment we are another person than we were before, right? We never pick up the same baby twice. It's a new life. We are never static. We are this aggregation of all these things, amazing things coming together to form up something that looks like a coherent me and you. But all of that, of course, is an illusion. And so there is this tremendous freedom inherent in becoming intimate with, in becoming friendly with this deepest, not just the fear, but the feeling itself of separation. Because when we're not avoiding that feeling anymore, then we're not avoiding life. What is there to avoid? You know, that's the portal that I experienced, and it was as simple as just taking the time to watch the deer run away on a meadow and observing my emotions. And so that is the power, that is the transformative power that I see in emotional work. And if you're watching this channel, I hope that is at least a little bit inspiring to you. And let me know what you think in the comments, and I love you. Thank you so much for watching.